From the Thunderdome in Swanton, Vermont, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Northwest Access TV's coverage of tonight's boys varsity basketball matchup featuring the visiting Falcons of North Country and the Thunderbirds of MVU. This is a very great game that you've chosen to tune into this evening between two incredibly talented high school teams. North Country in this COVID-altered season yet to have a loss. They most recently had a 17-point victory over Peoples just 3 nights ago. And a familiar foe, they beat Enosburg by 7 points a couple nights before that. All spoken. North Country comes into this one 5 wins, 0 losses. And MVU, meanwhile, comes in with a record of 3-1, having most recently defeated Harwood by over 30 points. So with two strong teams facing off, let's get it going. The opening tip controlled by the Thunderbirds. And alongside Bryce Batchelder, I'm Wesley Kempton. And more formally welcoming you again as the first possession for the Thunderbirds starting off a little bit slowly. North Country in a man set as Powers goes inside to Gabe Unwin. Quick pass up top, and Patrick Walker with the three-pointer gets the T-Birds scoring off early. And good for MVU to see that outside game starting. That's so often not the case that the bombs are falling, but perhaps a good sign for them if the outside game is successful tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. When we were at the game where MVU played Enosburg a couple weeks ago, it really took MVU a while to get the three-pointers to fall, especially from Patrick Walker. So to get that right off, I mean, that could be the key for them to be able to get North Country on their heels a little bit if they can hit a few three-pointers here early.
A turnover for the Thunderbirds. We'll go through the starters. I just said the last name in passing, but number 4 guarding the ball right now is Sean Power. He's a senior guard. Number 30, who hit the three-pointer, is Patrick Walker, as an inside shot missing and rebounded by Walker, who skip passed way over the head of Power. And that's 2 consecutive turnovers for the Thunderbirds. Also on the court for the home team, number 14, Caleb Johnston, another senior guard. Cole Buta, number 22. He's a forward. And Gabe Unwin, the senior standout forward, who is an impact player every time he's on the court. And you'll certainly be hearing his name extensively this evening.
Yeah, Gabe, we've been seeing visiting teams put a lot of focus on Gabe Unwin defensively as Corbin Brook gets the first points on the board for North Country. Gabe has at times started a little slow because defenses have really concentrated on him. But throughout the game, he's been able to figure out ways to kind of get some looks. And here, after that really good three-pointer first possession for MVU, now 3 straight turnovers.
And not surprising. Coach Matthew Walker taking the first time out of the night after 3 consecutive turnovers. The last 2 getting progressively worse, let's say.
Yes.
As for North Country, we'll go through some of those names. You just saw a lay-in and a good vision to find Corbin Bruick. He's the older brother of Cooper Bruick. Cooper Bruick be hard to miss. He's the one with the hair, and it's a great do that he has. But those are brothers, a sophomore and a senior, Cooper and Corbin Bruick, respectively. Cade Micknack is a junior forward. It's impressive the talent and the young players that North Country has. This is a team that's good this year, probably going to be good next year and the year after. Cade Micknack is number 11. You'll see him down low, and if MVU is in a man-to-man, Gabe Unwin will be matched up against him. Micknack scored 18 the other night against Enosburg. Also number 14, who is, unfortunately, just got that turnover. That was Austin Giroux. He's a forward who's another junior. And the coach's son, number 20 for North Country, who is guarding Buta right now and denying the passing lane. That is Bryce Gunn. And another failed possession for the Thunderbirds. Bryce, well, I'm sure we'll mention
which Bryce are you talking to right now?
Not the coach's son.
Oh, okay. All right. My dad coached me one time. gotten off to a great start in this game.
I'm talking to the Bryce who's sitting next to me, and
Okay,
otherwise
great.
has no familial affiliations with anyone coaching tonight's game.
Great.
Okay. We'll probably make mention of the contest as Unwin does a great up and under to get the second basket.
I mean,
Amazing
through
that
two
MVU
players.
has 4 turnovers, and they're ahead by 3 in the first 3 minutes. As Bruick drives in and certainly had that shot altered by Unwin, who gets the rebound. Finishing the thought, I'm sure that we will mention what we saw from MVU against Enosburg in that really exciting game last week when MVU had the early lead. Enosburg came back for a big lead, and then MVU won in overtime. But as you recall, when the door was open for Enosburg to make their comeback and then build their lead, it was because MVU continued to turn the ball over. At the time, we were saying that perhaps it was just sort of the early season jitters that they've not had the opportunity to get out of their system. Perhaps that's still the case, but you can't use that as an excuse no matter when in the season it occurs. And certainly for Coach Walker, he's got to be frustrated to see these turnovers in the early going.
Yeah, I mean, that game against Enosburg, MVU had a ton of trouble getting an entry pass down to the post, down to Gabe Unwin, and then also the pass at the top of the key into the high post near the free throw line. That one, about 3 plays in a row, they couldn't get that one in. So MVU still working on cleaning up some of their passing as now fouls have been called on each team respectively. For North Country, it was Austin Giroux, and for MVU, it was Cole Buta.
Nick Knack at the corner, going outside. Here's the first three-pointer attempt from North Country. No good from Bruick. The offense has certainly been pushed to Bruick in the early going. That's his 3rd shot attempt. And again, his lay-in early going was the only bucket for North Country. And kind of surprising there. Yeah, that was a backcourt violation. Johnson did not cross in time. The defense was closed, but it wasn't pressuring him enough that he had to. I think he just sort of lack of awareness. And as it is, that's now 5 turnovers on the Thunderbirds.
And that type of turnover is just so preventable.
Good intensity from Unwin to poke the ball loose, and at least the defense is getting it back. However, they almost gave it right back to the Falcons.
A little bit of an ugly game so far, Wes.
Again, quite surprising. 5 turnovers, and yet MVU does have 5 points.
Yeah, I mean, their defense is really helping them out here. That North Country, they've gotten looks. They have not gotten any clean looks at all. And so MVU right now rotating well on defense, forcing North Country into some mid-range shots that I'm sure that they don't necessarily want to settle for. And that's kind of what's saving MVU right now, is just barely escaped the corner.
Speaking of rotations, a sub-rotation brings Luke Fuenier. He's number 10, the new player on the court, as Sean Power is at the bench and got some coaching up from JV coach Matt Chevalier. Unwin going to be called for that body foul. He's got those long arms and certainly had the reach enough to be able to get the block, but a little too much body before he was reaching out to tip that shot.
Yeah, and that's always a tough one to call because the offensive player is really the one who kind of initiated that contact. But nevertheless, I mean, defender still not allowed to make contact. And so there's the foul call, unfortunately, with the body. Unfortunately for Unwin.
First free throw, no good for Bryce Gunn. As Power checks back in, giving Caleb Johnston the breather. Gunn's second free throw is true, and it's now a 5-3 contest as Walker has to find some options inbounding. A full court press for North Country. Respecting the athleticism of Unwin, you see them back off a little bit. However, a turnover for Unwin, and now in transition, a left-handed finish, and what a finish from Austin Giroux, and it's now knotted up. 5 apiece as MVU has 6 turnovers in the first 4 minutes and change. Power over to Fuenier. Tight on-ball defense from Bruick.
MVU's really trying to get Patrick Walker open. Unwin and Power were just setting a double screen for Walker, trying to come around the corner, but North Country beating the screens right now, not letting MVU get any open looks.
And North Country was not letting Fuenier have any look at all, just suffocating defense as he threw the ball up, and Power was able to grab it. He got fouled. A couple of substitutions for the Thunderbirds as Johnson checks back into the game and joined by Hazen Luno.
Nice.
Thank you.
That is Austin Giroux's second personal foul for North Country, so he is taking a seat for a bit. But to go back to Luno, congrats on the pronunciation.
Thank you. A floater for Walker, no good. Tip to get a loose rebound and reclaimed by the Thunderbirds. Power, skip pass, stolen by Bruick. Bruick to his brother, who loses it. It was Corbin and Cooper Bruick. And Corbin, the recipient of the pass, and the man who's got a turnover in his tally sheet now.
MVU's getting a little lucky here that North Country isn't scoring more in transition than they could be with all the turnovers that they're forcing MVU into.
Walker guarded by Cooper Bruick. That's the hair that I was talking about, number 2 for North Country. If I could grow hair like that, I'm pretty sure I would.
If I could grow hair like that, it'd be a lot more gray than what it is for Bruick.
North Country's substitution as Logan Richardson, a senior forward, comes in, giving Bryce Gunn a breather.
MVU foul on 14, Caleb Johnson, his first, team's third.
MVU in his zone defensive set now, as North Country trying to find an option inside, and a good entry pass going around 2 defenders. Cade Micknack gets fouled. See who that foul's on. I think it's going to be called
Sean Power, trying to sneak in from behind.
Inbounding for the Falcons, Derek Medley. And what a vision as he powered it to Micknack, who powered through the shot, and another strong effort from Logan Richardson, who goes long in the rebound to Walker.
I mean, what an inbounds pass. Thread the needle.
Sean Power for 3. 2 3-pointers in the early going for the Thunderbirds, who have a 3-point lead. And it's amazing what a 3-pointer does for the morale, as North Country again overshooting their shot. Good extra step from Cooper Bruick. Again, he's just a sophomore, and that was a great left-handed finish. Johnson picking up the dribble, goes back and finds Power. Power is a very capable shooter. Tried to go to Unwin, and another turnover. 7 now for the home team. In transition, a pull-up off the front iron. Unwin tips it, grabbed by Luno.
Well, what North Country's doing, they're really extending their half-court defense. I mean, they're not waiting until the ball gets to the 3-point line to really pick up MVU players. So MVU's not getting the opportunity to really cleanly get into their offensive flow. It's forcing lots of those bad passes and lots of those forced passes. So, I mean, the North Country defensive kind of setup right now is definitely working against the Thunderbirds.
Luke Fuenier is checked back into the contest for the home team. On the near side of your screen, number 10, he's guarding Derek Medley. They go, however, on the far side, skip it back over. Brooke Brothers, as Cooper drives in. Waiting for that last shot as there's 15 on the clock. 1-point lead for MVU is Cooper Bruick. Quick bounce, the top of the key. Corbin thought about it. They're down to 5 seconds. Down low they go. Good moves, and it's going to be an and-one opportunity as Hazen Luno got fooled by the pump fake. And that, for North Country coach John Gunn, is exactly how you want a possession like that to go. They were able to burn all of the time on the clock.
And, I mean, that was just a great post move by Caden Micknack down on the block with that pump fake and almost a little dream shake going on. And what a finish with that layup, sort of an up and under.
And a three-point play for him. 10-8, North Country leads. Walker traveled before the desperation heave, and so North Country is going to have an inbound opportunity with about a second to go. Officially, that's going to be turnover number 8. 1 minute in the first quarter for the Thunderbirds. Inbounding is going to be Cooper Bruick.
They're going small here for the last defensive possession.
Well, so the clock shows 0.1 seconds.
Essentially, all they can do is just sort of try to tip it in.
I think it is 1 second. Either way, not enough time. North Country certainly is debating that one. The officials are going to talk about it.
I mean, it's 0.1 second. You can't catch and shoot in that time.
If in fact it was 0.1, then yes, there's not physically enough time to do the catch and shoot. If it was, however, just 1 second,
then
that shot probably should have been good. And I think that's what John Gunn is saying too. With 1 second on the clock, he just did a catch and shoot. The bank shot from about 2 feet behind the line. He's going to let it lie, but...
Well, if they need instant replay, they can log on to Northwest Access TV's Facebook page and catch the live stream.
Well, and...
That also has the JV game, so if they need to review anything in that game as well, they have the opportunity.
It's also quite interesting how where we were within the scope of the game. With 20 seconds to go in that first quarter, it was a 1-point lead for MVU. They were up 8-7, as it was perhaps with the luxury of replay. It would be a 13-8 lead for North Country, but officially it is 10-8 North Country leading, with a very exciting finish for them, a 3-point play nonetheless in those last couple of seconds. There was really a lack of flow from either side in that first quarter. And before I get your thoughts on it, Bryce, I want to quickly thank our sponsors for today's game. Northwestern Orthopedics, Collins Pearly Sports Complex, JC Image, Handy Toyota, Barrett Ford, and Clarity Realty with Keller Williams, Vermont. If your business would like to become a sports sponsor, you can contact the staff at Northwest Access TV at 802-782-8676. As we begin the second quarter, Sean Power back on the court for the Thunderbirds. In fact, MVU has all of their starters from the beginning of the game here at the beginning of the second quarter. Johnston trying to go inside to Walker and hit from behind by Cooper Bruick. I think that's Cooper's second personal. Just his first, actually. Cooper Bruick's first foul as Walker, who was inbounds, got it right back to himself. Power is looking inside to Unwin, but North Country, not surprisingly, has a backside defender ready to stop any entry pass. A quick flip from Power as Unwin flips back behind him, and a travel.
Yep.
Not surprisingly, the call against Cole Buta, but he was certainly adamant that he hadn't. It was pretty clean from here, rather, the call.
That's Patrick Walker's third rebound of the game. He's leading all players so far on the boards.
I'm glad you gave that stat. I had the thought as he grabbed it that he's been pretty active in the early going. I'm not sure.
Entry passes.
I guess they were looking for Unwin.
You need to lob that one a whole lot more. I mean, it was a good idea. Unwin had position down on the block for that lob pass. If the pass was on target, he had a wide open layup. But that pass was a little bit too much of a line drive needed to loft that one a lot more.
So if I'm Coach Matt Walker, twofold. One, you've got to be immensely frustrated with your team's ball control here, as the height of the Missisquoi bigs altered that shot, allowing Unwin to pick up another rebound. But then on the other hand, you've averaged 1 turnover per minute for more than a quarter, and you're only down by 1 basket.
It's, one, a testament to how good your defense is. 2, also you're getting a little lucky.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yes.
Fighting for position, Logan Richardson whistled for the foul. That's his first. 4th for the Falcons. For Missisquoi, Hazen Luno checks back into the contest. It's worth noting that the MVU center, Matthew Curtis, remains out with injury. Should he be able to return this season healthy, it would be a tremendous asset for this team. He's an incredibly talented player as Walker connects on another three-pointer.
And that was a deep one. That was 2 or 3 feet behind the line. So we said if Patrick Walker can get hot from 3, and this could really change things for MVU in this game.
So MVU has
2 for 2.
And MVU has 4 field goals total, 3 of them behind the line. Good ball movement from North Country. They try to get down low and poked away from Caleb Johnson. Luno picks it up, and he's going to be called for the offensive foul. Trying to clear out with his elbows.
And that will be Hazen Luno's second personal foul. Cole Buta also has 2 personals for MVU. For North Country, the only player in foul trouble, Austin Giroux with 2.
Down in the low block. Corbin Brick goes back outside to Logan Richardson. Skipping it around. Richardson had a moment of freedom inside, and how about that floater? And switching hands, Cooper Bruick finishes with the right hand, putting North Country back up. That's their first field goal of the second quarter, coming 3 minutes into it. And there's another turnover for MVU, a steal from Corbin Bruick. Bruick is going to finish.
It's Corbin Bruick's second steal of the game. He's been kind of camping out, waiting for those passes up at the 3-point line.
When you're almost losing it, but retains possession. You see how the defense has him suffocated again.
Good timeout by Matt Walker. Here's kind of the interesting stat right now that's really sticking out to me. So team rebounds, North Country with only 3 team rebounds, MVU with 9. So MVU out-rebounding North Country 3-1, and yet still trailing by 3 points. It's one, I think a lot of them are defensive rebounds, so MVU's defense doing a good job of forcing North Country into tough shots that aren't going in. But also that MVU hasn't been able to take advantage and run their offense clean enough to be able to take advantage of or sort of pay off on those defensive rebounds by getting points on the other end.
And perhaps that's another encouraging aspect that Matt Walker can take to his team right now, is that the shots that they're taking, they're making. Their field goal percentage is quite good as we're about a quarter and a half into this contest. But they're shooting themselves in the foot. They've had a dozen turnovers. Well,
and here's the other stat that sort of helps explain why MVU is trailing with that rebound sort of discrepancy, I should say. Team steals, MVU 1, North Country 5. So that's certainly gaining ground for North Country there. If you can't get rebounds, just take the ball other ways.
Power is likely going to be the go-to ball handler in this one. He knew that he had a second of space there as well as he was calling for the ball from Walker. But Walker, I think, wants to create something on his own. Guarded by the younger Bruick. He goes over to Unwin. try to spread things and space things a little bit and get a high screen for Unwin. Crosses to his left, driving in. He almost lost his dribble, but I think he lost it because of a body foul.
Yeah, but they had Sean Power cutting baseline a couple times and just didn't recognize it.
The foul being called on Bryce Gunn, his first, team's fifth. North Country's in the bonus as MVU has 7 team fouls, the last being that offensive foul on Luno. Walker, quick release and off target as Luno tried to jump and get that rebound. He was out-positioned by Ian Applegate, number 4 for North Country.
Yeah, Patrick Walker just never really got set on that three-point attempt. He rushed that one a little bit.
Outside to Bruick. Pull up and does not connect on that one. But again, the versatility of Bruick, we've seen him drive in, finish with the left or right hand, and that time he pulled straight up and came close to getting his third field goal.
Well, in MVU, when Bruick was driving in, MVU's defense sort of fell back a little bit, expecting him to go up for the layup. I think they need to step up and pressure Bruick a little bit. Otherwise, Bruick just kind of has that wide open floater. That time it didn't go in, but it will go in the more he takes it.
Sean Power started moving before he started dribbling. So another turnover for Missisquoi. And for North Country, Cooper Bruick getting his first breather of the evening. He's played 13 minutes nearly.
That's a long run.
Good assertiveness from Power to poke that one through and force North Country to inbound. Had he not jumped in, it would have been a very, very good opportunity for the Falcons. Ambitious entry pass, poked away by the Thunderbird defense. They go deep to Walker. He has some space. He pulls back off the front iron. I don't mind that shot, though obviously he would have liked to make it, and it changes things immensely when Corbin Bruick comes the other way. And whereas MVU tried to tie it with a three-pointer, a miss and a three-pointer on the other side, the first of the night, by the way, for North Country, puts the visitors up by a half dozen.
That's Corbin Bruick now has 7 points, leading all scorers in the game.
Here's a three-pointer for Missisquoi. A little too much mustard and not able to corral the long rebound.
Well, three-pointers are starting not to fall here for MVU, so they got to start looking inside a little bit.
Here's Corbin again. Back-to-back three-pointers for him.
And he's now in double digits with 10 points.
Just like that, Missisquoi down by 9.
We saw this at the BFA U32 game last week, that it was a close game. Then U32 just kind of hit 4 threes in a row, and BFA can never recover. So hopefully MVU can do a little bit of a better job recovering as Sean Power gets that one to fall.
Yeah, Power was in the right place at the right time. It was almost a turnover for Walker, but Power picked it up and flicked up a mid-range jumper. Great swish.
Oh, boy.
How about that cut for Bruick, and he finishes. 12 points for him, 8 consecutive.
MVU caught sleeping on defense a little bit.
And same for North Country as they found a window to Unwin. That's his second field goal of the night. Obviously, they want more of the offense to go through him, but North Country has been playing some great defense. They get Unwin in the air, and driving in, Unwin is called for the foul. It will send Cade Micknack to the line.
And that should be number 2 on Unwin. So with a minute 16 left, you're sort of on that borderline of, do you trust him and keep him in to finish off this half, or do you take him out just in case?
Well, Luno's lined up to come in. I think your question's about to be answered. And
Unwin stays in.
They trust Unwin. And Luno, I believe, has 2 fouls in his own right.
He does indeed.
Rebound to Walker. Another rebound to Walker, I should say. MVU bailed out by Micknack, missing 2 free throws. They go to Unwin. He forces it in.
Yeah, and he got great position down on the block that time, really sealed off his defender.
He now has 6 points. And somehow Bruick wide open from the three, misses that time. But an offensive rebound. And look at that vision.
Boy.
Bryce Gunn finding Corbin Bruick. And Corbin Bruick has had 10 second quarter points. He's got 14.
North Country really exploiting MVU's rotations, or should I say lack thereof, a little bit. Seems like after the initial rotation happens, MVU just kind of gets out of sorts a little bit. North Country just knows the cuts they need to make to get behind MVU's defense.
Quick release from Patrick Walker on that last possession that came up empty. And you can tell from body language in the sideline that there is some great discouragement from the T-Birds as North Country again in position to get a good last look. A three-pointer from the corner, no good as Unwin yanks it down. And a surge of activity over those last couple of minutes favoring the Falcons, who have a 7-point halftime lead. And a lot of it comes to North Country's Corbin Bruick, who was explosive in those final couple of minutes.
He sure was. What did he score in the last couple of minutes? Was it 8 or 10 points?
He got 10 points.
10 points, yeah.
It started with the 1-3. The next possession, he hit another.
Yeah.
And then 2 field goals.
Yeah, MVU right now, it sort of feels lucky that they're only down 7. So still something that, still a deficit that they can erase, but their defense has to be shifting a lot better. They have to be a lot smarter. They're turning when they're coming over to sort of get the help side defense, they're leaving the weak side right over and wide open, and they're turning their backs to North Country's offensive players that are on the weak side. And so when the pass goes over there, MVU just doesn't know what's happening behind them. So they can still make those rotations, but they have to stay parallel with the basket so that they can see both where the ball is and where North Country's men are on the other side of the court, and that's just not happening right now. And North Country is exploiting it. They're getting all the cuts that they want to, and wide open looks for Corbin Bruick, who has now 14 points, leading all players in the game.
Though I think a positive for Missisquoi, those last couple of possessions when they were able to get it inside to Unwin, and he was able to hit 2 field goals in those last couple of minutes. He's tied with Patrick Walker with the team lead with 6 points.
And also both with 4 rebounds.
Well, most nights you know that those two are the guys who sort of carry the load. And it's sort of amazing the lack of distribution for Missisquoi. Only 3 scorers in this contest. Walker, Unwin, and Sean Powers got 5.
Yeah, I mean, MVU they haven't quite been able to get into their offense for most of the night. But like you said, those last couple possessions when Unwin got the right position on the block, was able to seal off his defender, and MVU's entry passes have been trouble, not just in this game, but a large part of the season. They finally got a couple of those to get in. There's one of them was pretty close, but still, that's the look that they're going to need. And then also to clean up their defense to try to erase the deficit.
You wonder, not like any team is going to take anything for granted in this season, but you wonder if the results of the last couple of games have given perhaps a little bit of complacency for MVU. And I know that they came in well aware that they were facing an undefeated North Country team, but over the last 2 games, MVU has had more than 50 points greater scoring output than their opponents. They beat Harwood by about 30, Peoples by about 20. And I think their confidence sort of got a punch in the teeth here in the first 2 quarters against North Country. And we'll see how they react coming out of the gate for the second half. Before we get to that second half, we would again like to thank our sponsors for this evening's game: Northwestern Orthopedics, Collins Pearly Sports Complex, JC Image, Handy Toyota, Barrett Ford, and Clarity Realty with Keller Williams, Vermont. If your business would like to become a sports sponsor, you can contact the staff at Northwest Access, 802-782-8676. We'll set the headsets down and come back for the third quarter from the Thunderdome, where North Country leads MVU by a score of 24-17. Welcome back for second half coverage of Northwest Access TV's varsity boys basketball broadcast, featuring the home team, the Thunderbirds of Missisquoi Valley Union, and the Falcons of North Country Union, who crossed over the mountain and proceeded to play good basketball for the first 16 minutes. They lead MVU by a score of 24-17. Bryce, we talked about it before the break. MVU struggled in that first half. Only 3 players with any points. Unwin and Walker each with 6. Sean Power has 5. A dozen turnovers, more than a dozen turnovers. And yet, it's still a relatively close game. What do you think Coach Walker is going to have his team? What adjustments do you think he would have told his team during the break?
Yeah, well, I mean, the last 2 offensive possessions that MVU had, they had Gabe Unwin in really good position. So I think you got to try to get back to that, because the three-pointers sort of stopped falling at times, as Austin Giroux had the first points of the half to give North Country a 9-point lead. So when the three-pointers stop falling, you got to try to find somewhere else to go inside. For the most part, those entry passes have been tough for the Thunderbirds, but like I said, the last couple they were able to get into Unwin. I think maybe they ought to start looking to try to drive in a little bit, make North Country's defense shift a little bit.
Assuming they probably got a little bit excited about their long ball success, as they made 3 of them in the first half. Sean Power, in fact, hit the first. He hit the second of those 3, but comes up empty on his long ball effort here.
And I'll also say, I mean, on defense, overall tonight, MVU has been solid defensively. They just sort of had a lapse in the last couple minutes of the second half that really put them in this hole. So if they make those adjustments on there, especially their weak side defense, that they were just not keeping track of where any of the North Country players were on the weak side, that got North Country some open looks from 3 and also some open layups and back cuts. If they can clean that up a little bit, they'll be in better shape.
Corbin Berg with a steal and a finish, and he now has 16 points.
Well, and we mentioned this stat before, but here is also kind of how we can see this deficit for the Thunderbirds. So the Thunderbirds are out-rebounding North Country by 9 team rebounds. But North Country has 6 steals, and MVU only has 1. So MVU, while they're getting the ball off the missed baskets, the Sean Power, seeing that nobody was there on the baseline as he went to his left. MVU's not taking advantage of getting those rebounds, because North Country seems to just sort of be stealing the ball right back.
Well, and to sort of piggyback on a previous point that you were making, as almost stealing the ball, Cole Boutad jumped that passing lane. As you said, MVU did pretty well defensively. Yeah, they've held an undefeated team to 24 first half points. That's all in all pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that is a feat for sure.
But the issue was that they only scored 17 of their own. Cooper Burrick inside. It was fought for with Unwin.
And that's going to be Unwin's third.
It was Unwin versus Cade Micknack. They were both sort of jumping to the same spot at the same time, but
and I think that's one of those tough calls, because I think Unwin actually got his hand on the ball first, and so you sort of then wonder.
There's just a body position issue, as Unwin wisely not getting that 4th foul, but still altering the shots because of his length. And North Country, look at that great movement, giving an open look up top, in, around, and in again for Austin Giroux. 5 points in this third quarter for him, and he gives North Country a 12-point lead.
And Austin Giroux, who ended up sitting on the bench for quite a bit of the first half because he had 2 personal fouls.
We go over to Power, who tried to flick it back to Walker, but it was stolen away. And driving in, Unwin's going to be called for the foul. That'll be his 4th. It was close to a jump ball, and he threw his hands up in the air, and I think that was his frustration. He had a lot of ball, but then ended up getting a little hand. And as Unwin picks up his 4th foul, Luno comes in, and the morale for the Thunderbirds certainly has to deplete when you see him go to the sideline. They come out of that substitution in a zone. Driving in, Bryce Gunn walked a little bit before passing it away, and a turnover for North Country as Luke Fuenier lines up to check back into the contest, replacing Cole Buta.
Now for MVU with Unwin out, you sort of have to ask, okay, where are we going on offense? Patrick Walker and Sean Power, I think, are the 2 obvious answers, but they're not going to get a lot of clean 3-point looks. The North Country, I mean, you see their defense. They're extending their defense well outside the 3-point line, keeping MVU from getting into an offensive rhythm and forcing Matt Walker to have to burn a timeout.
Well, and so a couple things to sort of concern you if you're a Missisquoi fan here. One is that, as you mentioned, Patrick Walker is one of the sure-handed players, but even he really hasn't had much going for him this evening. He's hit a couple of 3-pointers, and that's it. He's had a lot of opportunities where the only reason he's got a shot off was because he shot it so quickly. And that's a testament to him, how quick his release is. But North Country's not giving anything. And then Luke Fuenier, who did just come into the contest, every single time we've seen the offense go and get to Fuenier up top, North Country immediately barrages him with a double team. And that's now, thankfully, there's not been a turnover from it, but you see how he had to get bailed out a moment ago with a timeout. And
I think MVU's got to try to keep, when they have the ball up top like that, they got to try to keep the ball up toward the middle so that North Country can't use the sideline as another defender.
When you're over to Walker, guarded by Bruick. High screen from Luno. Not a lot of options as he does a handoff to Fuenier. Going left. Cuts back and inside, pulling up the dribble. And a 3-pointer is stuffed on the spot. In transition, the Falcons go outside to Bruick. A 3-pointer up, 3-pointer good. Cooper Bruick now has 7 points, and North Country leads by 15.
Yeah, this game turned quickly on MVU.
Well, and with Unwin on the bench, and MVU's offense just showing few options.
Yeah, now they're trying to set Patrick Walker up down in the post.
Luno's pass tipped, but Walker charges forward to pick it up. Johnston, as Fuenier backs it up, and they're going to reset the offense. More than halfway through this third quarter, MVU has just 2 points. Sean Power scored them. Power flicks that one up. He's got such a quick release. Inside, Fuenier saw himself surrounded by trees as Power launches one, and the bank is open. And Sean Power now with 10 points.
We'll take it.
They're still down by a dozen. And work it around. Corbin Bruick is going to miss. And the loose ball bounced out off of North Country. It was Corbin Bruick who allowed North Country to get that lead in the second quarter. And they've only built on it, outscoring MVU 10-5 in this third stanza. Good head fake, driving in a floater, no good, but almost following his own shot. Caleb Johnson, a good effort there.
That's the right idea. 3 North Country defenders coming over, shutting down his right side. Leaves the entire left side open, and just unlucky that the floater didn't go, but that's exactly the look that MVU has to get.
Corbin Bruick again missing as Luno gets the rebound, and I think he tried to flick that one off of a North Country
tried to hit
player.
It out of bounds off North Country player, but either way, MVU keeps the ball.
Walker has great poise. You can see how there's just a real calmness to him. And certainly there must be a feeling of urgency for Missisquoi as Luno just hacking away. That's his third personal, and Bruick is taking a second to walk after getting hammered there.
Yeah, well,
to be fair, Missisqua's got to be lucky that wasn't called any more harsh than just a regular foul, because that was just a clean tomahawk.
Yeah, and the trouble here is that with both Luno and Unwin in foul trouble, MVU's running out of height to send out there. I mean, they've already had to put Patrick Walker posting up a little bit on offense. So even though, Luno's coming off the bench, but he's really important to MVU right now. So he's got to be a little bit smarter with his fouls.
MVU doing what they can in the zone, but North Country looking very much in control as they worked it around and were able to get a mid-range jumper to fall from Derek Medley, his first basket. And that's now 6 scorers in the contest for North Country. Still only 3 scorers for MVU.
I think it's the moment, a moment that MVU really wishes that Matthew Curtis was healthy and able to play tonight.
Walker driving in, thought that he had a clean drive, but whistled for the travel. 15th team turnover by my watch. And a timeout taken by Matthew Walker, the coach of the Thunderbirds. Now, Patrick Walker is pretty aware of his step count as he drives to the lane, and unusual for him to get an extra step in and a turnover like that. But
well, and if he had been able to draw the foul and get a 3-point play, that would have been huge for the Thunderbirds. But North Country at this point up 14. I mean, we could see it on their last offensive possession. They can be nice and patient now. And I don't know, Wes, were you counting how many passes that they had on that last possession? I mean, had to be 5 or 6.
Or
they could just work
10 or 12.
Yeah, they could just work the ball around and just wait until they had till they shifted MVU's defense enough to have a good look. And one of the advantages of playing without a shot clock, that you can just take all the time you want and
work for the opportunity that you want. Yeah. Well, and in addition to, I made the comment that they were very much in control in that possession. One of the things that I'm particularly impressed with is their ball handler, Cooper Bruick. Again, he's just a sophomore. And the way that he is managing this game shows maturity beyond his years. And an able scorer in his own right. Again, he's got 7 of North Country's 36 points. We'll see without the shot clock if they're going to burn a minute.
Yeah, no urgency whatsoever.
And when you're coming out a little more aggressive to try to force the issue. Good on-ball defense from Butza there. This is Johnson up on the ball. Inside, they try to go, and not quite a turnover, staying alive, and they'll reset.
Do you think if we have enough possessions like this, it'll convince the VPA to finally put a shot clock in Vermont high school basketball?
It's interesting.
We've been asking for it for years.
Well, we talked about it a few weeks ago. Bruick somehow got around a defender as Buta picks up the loose ball, and MVU will have 10 seconds to try to get a shot off. We'll get back to the shot clock conversation in a moment. 5 on the clock as Walker trying to find anything, and he's called for a carry. Another turnover.
Luckily, with only 3.6 seconds left, we can't have another 45-second long possession.
Cooper Bruick going to be fouled by Buta.
Yeah, I mean, not sure how you can argue that one.
We've seen a couple times from him now being and that's vocally opposed to the ruling on the court.
And that's number 3 on Buta. So now we have Buta and Luno both with 3 for MVU and also Unwin with 4.
Number 13, Mason Noble, has checked into the contest. Good defense from Walker to deny one outlet. However, they go to the other. Corbin Bruick at the buzzer finishes. He has 16 points.
18.
18 points, excuse me. and it's a 16-point lead for North Country. At the end of the quarter, Patrick Walker is talking with the official about his carrying violation, get some clarification on what he did do and should do going forward. Frustration all around. We saw Butad discouraged with the foul call against him. Walker discouraged with the turnovers. That's 2 turnovers that were called on Walker in that quarter that he was, I guess, in disagreement with. And a very impressive third quarter for North Country. They outscored Missisquoi 14 to 5.
Yep. Yeah, and really this run started with about 2 minutes left in the second quarter when Corbin Bruick just kind of went crazy and scored 10 straight points for North Country. MVU just hasn't quite been able to recover from that. And we mentioned Corbin Bruick with 18 points. Cooper Bruick also with 7. He had an excellent quarter. For MVU, Sean Power, the only player in double digits with 10. And then Unwin and Patrick Walker each with 6. Walker, I don't think he has scored since the second quarter.
Sean Power, not only the only MVU player in double digits, the only MVU player who scored in the third quarter.
Fair enough.
So trailing by 16, MVU in need of a miracle. Gabe Unwin is back in the game with 4 fouls.
What else can you do? Nothing else is working for you. Matt Walker just has to go with one of his go-to players, and he has to trust Unwin to play really intelligently on defense to not pick up his 5th foul.
Patrick Walker was able to bank in his first shot of the fourth quarter. Good to see him able to get something going.
North Country just
travel on Corbin Bruick.
Naturally, right as I was about to say, North Country really spreading out the floor because they had 5 guys around the 3-point line. Then all 5 of them all went into the lane at the same time. So just sort of made my comment null and void. And as an announcer, that feels great.
About 5 minutes since you asked the question, Bryce. But as Walker, big heave, no good. And the rebound to North Country's Logan Richardson. I don't think lengthy possessions from North Country in a 38-24 contest is going to convince the VPA
it will not.
That the shot clock is needed. My reason for shooting down that notion so quickly and definitively, well, not quickly really, it took me 5 minutes, is that while you and I were in high school, there was a game about 20 minutes away from here that the final score was 5-2. I think it was Milton. Was it Milton versus Fairfax?
Or was it Rice?
It was definitely Milton against somebody. It could have been against Rice. The winning basket was a 3-pointer made in the first half. It was one of 3 field goals in the game as how about Corbin Bruick connecting on another 3-pointer. He's got 21.
And if you can remember what teams were playing in that game, leave a comment on our Facebook video, and we will appreciate that part of our story being corrected.
Patrick Walker, after getting that good look to start the fourth quarter, has not had much of a window on this possession. Good defense from Cooper Bruick. Unwin in the corner, being guarded by Micknack. Micknack's been pretty quiet in this game as well, just 3 points for him. Unwin driving in and knotted up, jump ball, and it's going to go to the Falcons. Sean Power checking back into the contest, replacing Mason Noble, who put out a couple of good minutes. We've got some players down getting tangled up as Unwin gets hit by Austin Giroux.
So at least one bright spot for Gabe Unwin. He does have 6 rebounds tonight. He is leading everybody in the game with that tally.
So 5:42 remaining in the fourth quarter, which means we have played 10 minutes and 18 seconds in the second half, and that is the first team foul on North Country. Sean Power. Bounce pass over to Fuenya. Fuenya looking inside, back to Power, several feet behind the line. Gets some good separation from the dribble, kicking back and driving in. A floater is no good, but wisely Johnson was able to draw the foul as he drove in. He stops the clock and has a chance to cut into this deficit a little bit. Foul was on North Country's Corbin Bruick. He's got 21 points and now 1 foul.
Which one is more impressive?
Equally.
Well, I suppose with 5 minutes and 20 seconds left, Wesley, what are your thoughts on player of the game?
I think I just said his name as we have the 4th scorer of the night for Missisquoi. Caleb Johnson with a single point brings MVU's total to 25. It's got to be Corbin Bruick, who has, again, 21 points.
And 3 steals.
And the impressive thing about North Country is that they haven't had to force the issue. They've, again, worked through their offense, and Cooper Bruick knew that he dragged his foot there. They've been able to work through their offense until they found a look that was the right look.
Yep.
There have been not many possessions that have been offensively wasted, turnovers aside, for North Country. Once they set up their offense, a really, really intelligent team.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, we can see why they're undefeated. You know, the first quarter, I think, was ugly for both teams. But once North Country, like you said, settled into their offense, I mean, they've just played such a smart and controlled game.
A foul down low, either going to be on Micknack or Bruick. It was an ambitious entry pass that Unman was able to jump up and get, and that's when he was fouled. It was effectively just a jump ball to see who could get it, and Unwin, the best jumper out there. The foul was officially called on Cooper Bruick, his second, as they go outside to Unwin. Walker thought about it but had 2 defenders on him. He goes outside to Unwin, and a body foul is going to be called on Micknack.
And everyone, the limited amount of people in the gym, all held their breath thinking that might have been Unwin's 5th. But to also follow up on North Country's very intelligent and controlled play, that is a sign of really good coaching by John Gunn.
5-second violation. Walker was not able to inbounds the ball. It's not going to be the only factor in this game, but it has got to be one of the leading factors when this game is written about. MVU has 17 turnovers.
Also, that amount of rebounds. So if your rebounding and turnover numbers are the same, never a great sign.
Unwin just fouled out. Fighting for position with Cade Micknack. An off-ball foul is going to send Micknack to the line for 1-1 and send Unwin to the bench for the rest of the night.
To follow up on the important topic of the evening, thanks to Alan Cunningham of Northwest Access TV for sending us the ESPN story about Milton and BFA Fairfax. You were correct in their final score of 5-2.
And a three-pointer winning it in the second quarter.
I just exited out of it. Now I have to get it to load again. Do you know how slow data is in Swanton?
I believe there's guest Wi-Fi. But neither here nor there.
Well, it's too late now.
Well, thanks, Alan. What does he win, folks? Sean Power trying to get anything to go. He pushes through, and finally a foul is called.
And Hazen
I
Luno.
think it goes against Hazen Luno,
Yep.
fighting for the rebound. That was as rough a possession as we've seen. There was some real jostling for position all around. For Luna, that's going to be his 4th. North Country brings in a bevy of substitutes. And Fuenya goes back to the bench for Missisquoi, replace by Ian Digby. Second time we've seen him on the floor this evening.
And yes, Wesley, the game-winning three-pointer was indeed in the second quarter. So good for you, Wesley Kempton, our player of the game.
Hey! Luno goes down, and he is shoved by North Country's Logan Richardson. So again, this jostling we're starting to see back and forth. Less than 4 minutes to play in a 16-point ball game. There's no reason for things to get unnecessarily chippy. However, that's 5 team fouls in the last minute and a half for North Country. Power to Digby. Digby gets a high screen from Walker. Power almost loses it, able to snag it back. Luno not able to secure that position as Walker looks for him. A shoe squeak, I think, just slowed down everybody. They thought for a second it was the official. And Walker, 5 seconds. Another turnover for him.
I don't like that 5-second call. He was moving in the general direction of the basket. Not that it makes much of a difference in this game.
It doesn't. Well, you're right, though. At least it's a debatable one. It sort of feels as another three-pointer falls, this time for Bryce Gunn. His first three-pointer gives him 4 points in the night. It feels appropriate, though, summation of Missisquo's night, that even as they're working towards the basket, they unfortunately get a turnover and come up empty. Three-pointer launched and too much jet fuel on it. Entry pass tipped away. I think Luno was going inside towards Caleb Johnston. And Sean Power going to the bench. 2:20 to go. That might be it for him this evening. Johnston. High screen from Luno. Outside to Walker. Digby. The right wing. Good hands from Luno, and he finds Walker, who hangs in the air, can't get the lay-in to fall, and North Country is going to get the steal and then a turnover on their own side. Walker from the opposite corner now, guarded by Bruick, goes inside, head fake, hesitation, and again comes up empty as Luno cannot come up with the rebound, but he was pushed while fighting for the rebound, I believe.
So Patrick Walker now, I mean, too late in this game, but last few minutes he has been doing a better job of actually cutting into the paint and dribbling into the paint and getting some decent looks. I sort of wish that was something that they had started to go to earlier in the game. They'd really been trying to open him up either around the three-point line or actually down on the block, trying to get an entry pass to him when Unwin was on the bench. Sort of wish they'd been looking for him to just try to drive the ball into the paint earlier.
And Walker might be checking back into the game in a moment. He had to change out his mask. But I agree, and we saw it at the beginning of this fourth quarter when he was able to get his first shot attempt to fall, that when he's able to get a little bit of space while in motion towards the basket, it's usually a net positive for the Thunderbirds. However, it's just, even when he has been able to get some looks this evening, more often than not, they have not been able to fall.
Yeah. But either way, I think we have seen why North Country is an undefeated team so far this year.
Yeah, they really don't have a lot of weaknesses.
No.
They're very strong defensively. Perhaps not as big down low. Certainly MVU had the height advantage, but
when he can bomb the threes like that,
they can score in a hurry. And even when there wasn't a lot of offense happening, like we said, they weren't forcing the issue. They were a team that they didn't seem to be too fazed by the pace of that first quarter, and just playing their game kind of methodically out to a big lead. As Walker has some space, he's going to try a three-pointer. In and out. Rebound handled by North Country's center, Trayton Ibert. And Walker's going to be called for the player control foul. Amazingly, just his first personal foul. And without cause for urgency, they'll just weave it around up top. Garrett Heath is number 22 for North Country, our first time seeing him this evening. And Isaac Driver in the circle is going to dribble out the clock. So Bryce, I think officially it's hard to deny the total that he had, but Corbin Bruick on the offensive total alone has to be the player of the game, and
21,
a complete player as well. You mentioned that the steals that he had as well.
21 points. Yeah, I mean, we'll give you some points totals here. Corbin Bruick led everybody with 21 points. Cooper Bruick and Austin Giroux both had 7. For MVU, tough night offensively. Sean Power led them with 10 points. Patrick Walker had 8, and Gabe Unwin had 6. Caleb Johnston was the only other one to score for the Thunderbirds with 1 point. Thunderbirds did dominate the boards, though. Unwin with 6 rebounds and Patrick Walker with 4. But ultimately, yes, Corbin Bruick, I mean, even just for the 2-minute run at the end of the first half, that he scored 10 straight points for North Country. That alone might have earned it for him, and he definitely was the overpowering player in this game.
And our thanks, as always, to JC Image for sponsoring the Showtime Player of the Game T-shirt, which we will be delivering to Corbin in just a few moments. I will say that MVU or BFA will get a victory on Northwest Access, because we'll have 2 local teams facing off on Sunday afternoon from right here in the Thunderdome. The BFA Bob Whites will be traveling down Route 7 to take on the Thunderbirds. And even though we've yet to see BFA get a win in one of our Northwest Access broadcasts of their contests, and after this performance from MVU a bit discouraging, there will be good news for at least one local team on Sunday, and we hope that you tune in to what will surely be, what is always, an exciting rivalry game.
A little bit different this year with no fans or student sections, but I think it's safe to say BFA MVU, the intensity will not be lost because of it.
Not to mention it being played on a Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
But we're excited for it, and we hope you'll join us for that game. Final score from this one once more, North Country 44, MVU 25. For videographer Eddie Woods and Bryce Batchelder, I'm Wesley Kempton. Thank you again for joining us, and so long from Swanton.